Then I took an arrow in the knee.
War of the Vikings. It might just be under early access release via Steam right now, but even just a week after release, I've died so many times. I've been brutally killed by axe, sword and bow time and time again. The game is set in the loose historical period in which the Vikings are raiding and invading England, pitting them against the native Saxons in quite a variety of rather beautiful locations. At this point, it's still a limited and scaled down build of the game, but as the follow-up, or I guess prequel, to last year's War of the Roses, it sees a continuation of their quite unique solution to the problem of close quarters combat. You might play with a fairly standard WASD keyboard and mouse layout, but how this is then applied to the combat techniques and gameplay sees you dropped in right at the deep end, with so many layers of complexity to the gameplay. It's nothing like QWOP or Surgeon Simulator in terms of difficulty to pick up, but it does provide a sizable challenge and learning curve to get used to. Even with what looks initially like quite a simple control scheme, it is in fact devilishly tricky to master. Early on, and even after a good 5 to 6 hours of playtime, I basically just died, rarely able to get a hit in, and those hits that I did manage to land not doing enough damage to take down enemies, and then not die myself. So the reason for this is that the controls on the mouse for attacking and blocking don't just trigger a universal action. Instead you have to also choose the direction that you want to attack from, with quick flicks to the left, right or above, and also hold down the button to try and get the maximum power from the charged up attacks. Blocking is quite similar, with the game showing an incoming attack indicator on screen, so that you can then set yourself up to receive that attack and block it. This takes quite a bit of quick thinking and precision to manage, but if you have a wooden shield then it's simplified a bit because you just raise the shield and look in that direction in order to block. However, shields can be destroyed and then you're back to trying to parry with your sword. Parrying then is pretty essential, as it opens up your enemy to attack for a fraction of a second. But then there's the further nuance to the controls, with a quick directional dodge move and a kind of super attack which delivers a short stab to the gut or a leaping axe blow. Then there's also archery and throwing weapons, so that every character has both ranged and close quarters options. Right now there are just 3 set classes: the Thane with his sword, shield and throwing axes, the Huscarl with a 2-handed axe, heavier chainmail and throwing knives, and the Herdman, who's primarily on bow and arrow, but does back it up with a single-handed axe for close quarters. It's quite a nice balance right now, and with the locational damage system and accurate collision detection, it definitely requires a lot of skill to play. In particular, you can deal damage to your allies in battle, so you'll hand out and receive your fair share of team kills, but you also need to be aware of your surroundings. If you try to sweep your sword, you can hit a wall or a tree if they're nearby, and so you lose your opportunity to attack and drain a chunk of your own stamina as well. So you want to be sweeping from the opposite side if you've got a wall on your right. However, the special attacks, which are another option, do feel overpowered right now. Even taking into account of a level of my own cockiness when I got on a bit of a good killing streak and was feeling quite confident, I'm pretty sure that I died from these attacks a bit too regularly, so maybe they need to be tuned down a little bit as the game is developed. As this is just an early access release, there's only a subset of content and features, and this is to help them really focus in on the core gameplay mechanics and narrow the feedback that they get. It will gradually grow over time, with new maps on the way and character customization which is yet to arrive. In character customization you'll be able to have custom designs on your sword blade or axe head, and much more importantly you'll be able to pick your own beard, as well as your loadout. This is all coming on a roughly fortnightly roadmap, which is demonstrated and shown in the game, and looks a bit like this. But the most important thing is that it's fun, and I'm finding myself more than happy to dive in for a game or two. Over time I've got a handle on some of the nuance of the controls, got a few kill streaks of my own and faced off against quite overwhelming odds at times. But that doesn't stop me from getting absolutely slaughtered by much better players who can dodge, block and attack much better than I can. At this point it's going to be mainly big fans from War of the Roses who are playing the game, and so there's quite a steep learning curve, which will be quite a bit steeper at this point than it will in the final game, especially with no tutorials yet in the game. As time passes and we get to a final release, it will definitely become more inviting and friendly to new players. And just to finish off, here's me getting my head chopped off. I hope you've enjoyed the video. This really felt like a game which has to be shown as well as written about. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we will see you next time.
No!